Hey everyone! Okay, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way now. Yes, I am well aware that it's been slim pickings the past couple months on Sam's channel. For that, I apologise. It's probably the busiest time all year for me in my studies right now, and you know what? January, February time in England really sucks. It's basically just all the Oscar leftovers, only one of which I actually saw. I really don't want Sam's channel to become solely known for superhero content, but what are you gonna do when Deadpool gives you more to talk about than The Revenant? Anyway, because I've been itching to do a new Sam's Views, it's that time once again for an installment of Anything Goes. An episode filled up by and large of opinions that I have at the time, but can't exactly expand into videos in their own rights. Let's see what we got. Making Die Hard 6 a John McClane origin story set before the events of the Nakatomi Plaza, recasting the character with a younger actor and calling it Die Hard Year 1, like he's fucking Batman or something, is literally the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. First of all, and I mean this genuinely, nobody cares about Die Hard without Bruce Willis. Secondly, and most importantly, John McClane is not a fucking superhero. People will argue that the first movie is his origin story, but even then I kind of feel like that's doing a disservice to it. John McClane doesn't have, or even need an origin. His entire shtick is that he's just an average cop in the wrong place at the wrong time that the bad guys couldn't possibly have accounted for. And introducing a Reset-esque prequel where he watches Roy Rogers on TV as a child and Mr. Miyagi teaches him how to endure walking on glass would be the laziest and most self-defeating act of rewriting since Disney greenlit that ridiculous-sounding Han Solo origin movie a few months ago. Daredevil Season 2 looks good. While it had a few bumps along the way, and I never really felt that they managed to integrate Foggy and Karen well into the show until a good several episodes in, I really enjoyed the first season. The casting of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk were inspired performances that rivaled those of the films. Those two characters in particular were incredibly well realised, and the stunt choreography and cinematography were surprisingly legit. I am slightly worried that they don't know what to do with Foggy now that we've seen him doing more of the same thing that he supposedly got over by the end of Season 1 in the trailer for Season 2, by which I mean constantly complaining at Matt for nearly killing himself every time he goes out, but god damn does Jon Bernthal look good as the Punisher. You guys ever heard of Turbo Kid? It's basically an 80s style post-apocalyptic cheesy sci-fi thriller where everyone rides around on bikes and where our main protagonist, who's only ever referred to as Kid, discovers a superhero suit and decides to fight back against Michael Ironside as the evil ruler of the wasteland for his new girlfriend, and it's fucking awesome. The characters are engaging, it's got a witty script, a great synth score, wonderfully ridiculous and tonally jarring practical gore effects for what at first seems like a Goonies-style pastiche, and an immensely enjoyable retro spirit that never once becomes compromised. For example, it commits to its premise so much that it's set in the post-apocalyptic future, but the post-apocalyptic future is 1997. It's such a perfect ode to the trashy, low-budget yet sincerely put-together knockoffs of sci-fi classics like Mad Max or The Terminator, that it even manages to feel somewhat lacking in what it promises, just feels like an intentional gag that most viewers won't get. Check that out. This just in, Noomi Rapace will not be in Alien Covenant, the sequel to Prometheus. Or in other words, hey gang, remember how the only mildly exciting thing about a Prometheus 2 was the prospect of seeing Noomi Rapace and the head of Michael Fassbender flying around in a spaceship? Yeah. Well, we're not doing that. Still, get excited, for no discernible reason, over our sequel to that totally not an Alien prequel we swear to God, Alien Covenant. You know, Blomkamp's Alien 5, which would have seen Ripley and Hicks return and which got canned when Ridley Scott announced 2 more Prometheus films after the facts, may have sounded incredibly pandering in concept, but at least he sounded as if he knew what he was doing. So you know how Deadpool made a huge ton of money out of nowhere for Fox, and now every studio is pissing their pants and desperately rummaging through their owned superhero properties to see who they can make a movie out of next to benefit off of that success? Well, it's times like this that I'm incredibly relieved that Marvel now has a hand in SpiderMan, because you just know that if it was still just Sony handling this guy, in the wake of Deadpool's success, the next Amazing Spider-Man movie would feature the most insufferably annoying jokey version of the character put to film. On the subject of Deadpool's success, did any of you guys hear how Fox are apparently considering an R rating for the next Wolverine picture? Well, of all the possible superheroes that Hollywood's bound to suck an R rating out of now, I'd actually say that an R-rated Wolverine movie makes a lot of sense. I'm just not really sure that I'd have introduced one at the tail end of a PG-13 series. So I finally watched Battleship a few weeks ago for reasons I won't bother going into. Awful, awful movie, clearly trying to kickstart a genre out of the Michael Bay aesthetic, but it does actually get kind of okay around the 1 hour mark once an action-oriented plot is introduced with the aliens and the film decides to actually start adapting the board game that it's based off of. Turns out watching the Navy play life-sized Battleship is surprisingly watchable. The second half does eventually veer into so bad it's funny territory, but I'll admit there's a lot of unfunny, stale crap to get through at the start when the film still seems to think that it's an actual movie. Which, strangely enough, kind of makes it feel like a meta-commentary unto itself. Setting up the, what I begrudgingly call story, i.e. putting all the pieces in place so that we can start having fun, is nowhere near as interesting as actually just playing the damn thing and having some fun. Sometimes it's best to accept the kind of beast that you are and just roll with it, and I think in this particular case, you really didn't need to bother trying to get us invested in any kind of narrative here. I don't show up to a Battleship movie to watch Taylor Kitsch develop as a character. And that's all we got. See you all soon. Cheers for watching guys, and as always if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel.